Xbox On. Welcome to Xbox On, a podcast with one host about one console, Xbox. I'm said host Jesse DeRosa, and on today's episode we'll be talking about the latest Xbox news for the week of May 29th, 2025, including new retro arcade services available for Xbox, Sony is twisting the knife in Xbox's hardware woes, EA's Black Panther game has been cancelled, and more. On this day in Xbox history, the year 2011, 14 years ago, Why Did I Buy This? Was released on the Xbox 360 as an Xbox Live Arcade indie release. I'd never heard of Why Did I Buy This, but I thought it was an appropriate name for a video game because as relates to this podcast, I'm sure a lot of people who click on Xbox On for the first time probably ask themselves, why did I listen to this? Why did I select this podcast? So, you buy an Xbox, you ask yourself, why did I buy this? Everyone else has a PlayStation. You buy the game, you say, why did I buy this? You listen to the podcast, you say, why did I listen to this? And then at some point, you got to stop blaming the Xbox podcast, the Xbox video game, the Xbox home console, and you got to walk into your restroom, and you got to turn off the lights, and then turn the lights on real fast while you stare at the mirror and see nothing but your own reflection. And ask yourself this real hard-hitting question. You say, why am I like this? It's not about Xbox. It's about you. Guys, welcome to Xbox On, episode 313. Why was the intro music so weird, Jesse? Well, because I'm working on one problem at a time. I just remembered I was supposed to look into the podcast as quiet problem. I think I've fixed it a little bit, but not a true fix, so bear with me on that. I haven't forgotten about it. I just forgot about it until right now. But aside from that, I found out why podcasts are disappearing from Spotify. It's because Spotify just decided to give a shit about Halo Infinite soundtrack, and so now when I use it's not only the Sonic songs, it's now also the Halo songs. Spotify is cracking down, and here's the reality of the situation, because it's really only going to negatively affect me, but I don't care. Fuck Spotify. I'm not going through the extra legwork to have other versions of the podcast with other intro and outro songs just because Spotify's a little fucking princess. Yeah, it's the licensed music was getting Spotify, which is crazy because the show's been on Spotify for like over 100 episodes. So Spotify just now decided to start giving a fuck about the fact that I use a snippet of Halo Infinite music as intro music. And then, of course, the Sonic songs we use at the outro. That's a little more egregious because we use the whole song. So I get that one more. But anyway, whatever. I understand there's a reason why most podcasts have their own original music. Listen, about 2-3 years ago, I was working on an original intro and outro song for Xbox On, but as is the case with most personal, artistic, creative endeavors, I got very lazy and unmotivated, and I gave up because, as is the case with most working class Americans, my job just eviscerates any ounce of energy or motivation, physical or mental energy of any kind, to really get anything done. When I come home from work, it's pretty much like shovel the pasta in my mouth, put the Rays game on the background, give me a Nintendo or an Xbox handheld, and I will fall asleep before I even get to the start menu. So that's really how it works. So why am I telling you all this? Well, because I'm buying time. It's another slow week of Xbox news. No. I don't know why I'm telling you this. I guess maybe I'm trying to put the pressure on. At some point in time, I really need to make my own Xbox On intro song. I don't know. I haven't recorded anything musically related since I was like 13 years old, guys. It's going to be real band. It's going to be like garage band style punk rock music, and I'll just be like, this is the Xbox song. I hope it doesn't last Xbox too long, and then it'll just end, and that will be the intro, probably, most definitely, and it'll just be me on an acoustic guitar while in the background you hear my cat scratching itself. I don't fucking know. But anyway, guys, for now, here's a nice little stopgap. Thank you, friend of the show, BB Murder Case, for all those SoundCloud songs you emailed me about 5 years ago that I'm still milking for everything it's worth to this day with intro and outro songs. So thank you. I appreciate you, Eric. But guys, welcome to the Xbox On podcast, episode 313. And yes, as I mentioned briefly somewhere in that ramble, it is another slow news week. So we're going to continue to just kind of do the podcast this way. I like doing it this way when there's not too much crazy stuff to talk about, where it's just like, here's all the news, we'll just go down the list. And then on bigger weeks where there's like objectively big news versus small news, when it's those weeks where it's like, let's talk about Halo 20 and let's talk about Phil Spencer retiring. And then it's like, oh, and by the way, release date has been set for Harry Potter and the Gryffindor games. It's like that way we can do the big news, the small news, the whatever news again. But as long as we're going to have these weeks where it's just a stream of like mildly interesting news stories, might as well just put it all in one go rather than segmenting it out just for the sake of having some arbitrary structure to the show. So with that said, let's roll into our arbitrary structure, beginning with our notable game releases of the week. Disney's Islands of Illusion. Disney's Illusion Island starring Mickey and Friends. There we go, Jesse. This game came to Switch a few years ago. It was released as a Switch exclusive. Was it also on something else, or was it only, I think it was only on Switch. It was a year or two ago, and now it's coming to Xbox and PlayStation and PC. So that is out tomorrow as of the day this goes up, Friday, May 30th. And then Elden Ring Night Rain, which is that new multiplayer Elden Ring game that's getting reviews that range from good to excellent, comes out also on Friday on Xbox consoles and PC. So there you go. There's some new releases to look forward to. I'm not going to play either of these two games, but hey, someone out there wants to play one or both of these games. Imagine the fan that wants to play both of these games, the guy that's just itching to play the multiplayer Elden Ring game and the Disney Illusion Island game that he passed on for Nintendo Switch just so he could wait to play it on his PlayStation 5 Pro. That guy is a real one, and if you see him, you tell him I said hi. Guys, that's it for our notable game releases. Let's just roll right in to our news story because, we got the news. We'll go through it. I try to intersperse some comments where it's applicable to the news stories. But what I'm really excited to talk to you about is the what I've been eating, because boy, I busted out that brand new grill, and you bet your ass we're going to talk about it. So let's get this Xbox news out of the way so we can talk about grilling, guys. All right, so this happened like right after the show was recorded last week, which whatever, who cares? But we'll just hop right in. So from VGC. Xbox has announced a Retro Classics streaming service available for Game Pass members on all tiers. Retro Classics is a collaboration between Xbox and Antstream Arcade, a streaming service which offers more than 1,300 retro games to play on demand. The Xbox version offers more than 60 classic Activision games from the 1980s to 90s, including such titles as Commando, Grand Prix, Kaboom, MechWarrior 2, 31st Century Combat, and Pitfall. According to Xbox, more games will be added to the service in the future, including more games from Activision and Blizzard, eventually bringing up the total to more than 100 games. The Retro Classics app is available now for Game Pass subscribers on all tiers, features community challenges, competitive leaderboards, new challenge modes, and high score rankings. Also, there are Xbox achievements as well as the ability to save player progress and continue later on. Retro Classics is available on Xbox consoles and the Xbox app and on PC, or the Xbox app on PC, dumbass. The streaming services that support Xbox, like LG and Samsung TVs, Fire Sticks, MetaQuest, we get it. This is an Xbox. To commemorate the partnership with Xbox and Antstream, Game Pass members can also access a limited time offer, which lets them sign up for the full Antstream Arcade catalog for $10 for its first year. Offer ends June 4th. So I have no idea what Antstream Arcade is, but I guess they collaborated with Xbox to make an Xbox-centric version of their catalog, which includes some retro games, some fucking Activision Blizzard stuff from back in the day. It's another little perk for Game Pass subscribers, which I think is cool. Don't get me wrong, but I gotta be honest with you, this right here is where Xbox's history and or lack of history comes to show in the most meaningful way, because it's like, listen, man, there's no denying Game Pass kicks PlayStation's program in the ass. It kicks whatever Nintendo's offering with Nintendo Switch Online in the ass. It is by far the best option for people who want to subscribe to a service and get tons of excellent games, high quality games, shit tons of value on gaming, on whatever. But one area where Xbox falls short is of course as where its retro history goes, because there is no such thing as retro Xbox, or at least retro in the sense of like NES, SNES, because Xbox started in the PS2, GameCube generation. So of course there are no arcade games that are Xbox or anything like that. I guess they could bring Halo 2600 to this service. That'd be badass. But whatever. It's cool that they have some like retro arcade style service. But again, it's just that, listen, I understand games like Pitfall and Commando and Millipede and whatever the fuck else they probably got, Jailbreak and whatever. It's like, I get that these are technically classic arcade games and such, but like, these aren't games anyone is ever itching to go back to. Pitfall is one of those games. Everyone knows Pitfall. Does anyone give a shit about Pitfall? Raise your hand. That's right. No one just raised their hand. That's insane. That's insane. In fact, there's one kid who listening to this podcast who just lowered his hand. He had his hand raised and then he lowered it because I said, raise your hand if you give a fuck about Pitfall. It's just the reality of the situation. While I think it's cool and I appreciate Xbox's willingness to be like, let's add more value to Game Pass and let's try to have some foothold in, or some standing in this retro arcade kind of scene. It's just that you guys don't have shit. And yes, you do acquire some stuff with the likes of Activision Blizzard, especially Activision, because they are a retro game brand. They are a long-standing publisher of games. But again, does Activision really have anything anyone gives a shit about? The answer is no. So it's just like, do I care about this service? Not at all. Do I appreciate what they're doing? Absolutely. It's just, Nintendo Switch Online, that's something you want to subscribe to. For $20 a year, get access to all these NES and SNES games and all that stuff. It's like, of course. Even if it is your millionth time subscribing to or buying or whatever, re-downloading Super Mario Bros., everyone wants to go back and play Super Mario Bros. And Super Mario World and Legend of Zelda and Metroid and all these classic old Nintendo games because they are classics. But nobody wants to go back and play fucking Millipede. If we're talking about old like arcade games like that, it's like, I don't know, who gives a shit about anything beyond like Miss Pac-Man and Dig Dug? Like, really? Come on. I mean, Space Invaders is pretty badass, but this is the thing. It's just there's not a whole lot here. Nothing I'd get excited about, but again, I do appreciate the attempt. It is cool that they're adding even more value to Game Pass through something like this, but I don't know, maybe one day down the road they can strike up a partnership and get like some other interesting partners involved and get some more interesting games included in the service, but for now, this just isn't it for me. Cargo Runner UK does write in and say, Xbox Retro Classics trailer looks great, so I tried it yesterday. The Atari 2600, okay, so they do have Atari games on it. 2600 games had sharp visuals, so they did not look streamed, but then I played Zork in the text adventure. This definitely was being streamed, and on a Sunday night when the service is busy, the visual quality was up and down like crazy. When the text scrolls up the screen, the image is unreadable, and the low resolution has bad artifacting. The imaging and then sharpens up to look normal. This is really jarring. But sometimes the image does not sharpen up. You are stuck with a bad image. A few times the image was just totally corrupted. But what was worse was that Zork game was totally buggy. It would randomly get confused. You would get completely incorrect responses on your commands. And even worse, critical items would just disappear. You would have to go back to previous saves just to keep it going until the game worked. I eventually finished the game, but I had to lose progress at least 10 times due to bugs, which include the snapshot save system just locking up altogether. This was not a retro game preservation that was like playing a broken AI's version of the game. So UK Runner, I appreciate you taking the plunge and playing this so that we could have an account of kind of what the experience is like so far. Now, do we suspect this will probably get fine-tuned and refined and updated and fixed over time? Sure. But it is cool to see that this is how it's running right now, just to kind of get that perspective, because God knows I have no interest in checking this out. And I'm sorry to hear that it's not the best right now. That sucks. I mean, the patience you exhibited by sticking with Zork and ending up beating it altogether is just commendable, and also makes you kind of insane, right? I'm looking through the list here. I'm just trying to see if there's any game here I give a single fuck about. I'm not even trying to be mean. I'm just trying to think, because I'm not like a huge classic retro arcade Atari fan, but I have enough of a history with enough of these games that I would definitely say there are some retro classic style games that I can get down with. But yeah, I'm looking here and there's really nothing. There's nothing here that I got anything good to say about. Sorry, I'm just reading through the list real quick. I'll cut this out. I don't know, man. Give me Miss Pac-Man. Give me Space Invaders. Give me like fucking Dig Dug. I love Dig Dug. I don't know, man. This is just not it. Even like, yeah, get like a partnership going with Sega, get like Outrun and Golden Axe and stuff like that. I don't know. This just isn't it for me. But anyway, it does look good as far as adding more value, and I'm sure a lot of people are going to be interested to at least check this out. So hopefully they can find some of these issues people like Cargo Runner are experiencing and get it in a little bit more of an acceptable state. Isn't that so poetic and so indicative of modern gaming that even retro games that are like like a single megabyte in file size, if that, or like 200 kilobytes. Can't even be run today without having issues because everything's broken. But nonetheless, commendable idea. Still cool, guys. Let's talk about the FTC. They have finally dropped their fight against Xbox regarding the Activision Blizzard deal that they've really been fighting since 2022. The U.S. Federal Trade Commission, or FTC, has officially dropped its case 2 years after the completion of the historic game deal. Microsoft completed its acquisition in October 2023, and then the U.S. District Court for Northern District of California denied the FTC's motion for a preliminary injunction allowing the acquisition to be completed. However, unwilling to let the matter lie, the FTC proceeded with an appeal in December of that year, attempting to overturn the court's decision. Earlier this month, however, that appeal was also rejected, and on Thursday this past week, the commission officially dropped the case entirely, saying, quote, "The commission has determined that the public's interest is best served by dismissing the administrative litigation in this case. Accordingly, it is hereby ordered that the complaint is in this matter be and hereby is dismissed." Commenting on the news, Microsoft President Brad Smith wrote, "Today's decision is a victory for players across the I love this. Today's decision is a victory for players across the country and for some sense in Washington, D.C. We are grateful for the FTC in their announcement. According to the appeals court, the FTC failed to show that Microsoft would have prevented rival companies from gaining access to Call of Duty after acquiring Activision Blizzard. It is also dismissing the argument that Microsoft would make Activision games exclusive to Xbox. Ain't that the fucking truth?" Anyway, I just love this quote from Brad Smith. I would love to hear it like professionally read aloud by Brad Smith with like the background music, like "Proud to be American." And he's like a transparent wavy American flag and like an eagle flying. And while that's happening, you see like just fucking screen grabs of article headlines from the past fucking 18 months popping up over screen. Like Microsoft lays off 7% of its workforce. Activision jobs rendered redundant. 1,000 people laid off entirely. Toys for Bob splinters from Activision and Xbox. Entire just like headline after headline. Reddit posts of Microsoft employees being like, "Well, today's the day I got laid off," and just fucking beautiful. I love this. So today was a day that was a victory for the players across the country and for common sense in Washington, D.C. Dude, shout out Brad Smith. You definitely don't sound like a fucking robot corporate shill freakazoid. You're totally a well-adjusted normal human being. I'm glad people like you exist. That's so fucking cool. Yeah, when you say shit like that. Anyway, I'm gonna. I don't know, man. I'm a bitter asshole. I love Xbox. I'm gonna keep playing on Xbox. I'm happy with the games I'm getting. I'm happy with the console I play on. But I had a bad feeling about the Activision deal since the second it was announced, and now that we're years removed from it, I'm just gonna say what I've always said. I wish Xbox never fucking bought Activision. Horrible fucking deal. And if you wonder why Xbox is in the situation it is, where we're talking about Hellblade 2 coming to PS5, that's because Xbox bought Activision, and that's fucking Xbox's fault. So that's why Xbox is dead the way we loved it and knew it. It's because of this stupid deal that cost a ton of people their jobs, had unnecessary consolidation of a creative space that is increasingly becoming less and less creative, and it allowed the biggest corporation to become even bigger by the sum of $70 billion in assets. So that's fucking a great day for common sense in Washington, D.C. And as a player, I certainly feel like I won here. So that's awesome. Thanks, Brad Smith. Go back to your fucking gooning cage where Satya Nadella feeds you fucking biscuits until it's time to unleash you to the public again for another brain dead statement. You fucking weird boy, you little weird boy. I bet you wear off-brand deodorant because you're a cheap bastard, aren't you? Fucking weirdo. Anyway, guys, speaking of weirdos, Sony has announced several deals on PlayStation 5 hardware and software, including discounts on the PlayStation 5 Pro and more. This right here is PlayStation sticking the knife in the hearts of Xbox fans in this wound of Xbox price increases, twisting the knife and saying, "Fuck you, we're going to eat shit on our consoles for a little while just to make you look even worse." So from May 28th to June 11th, so it's really not much time at all. In fact, it starts as of the day I'm recording this podcast and it ends just 6 days after the Nintendo Switch 2 comes out. But Sony will reduce the price on various products on the PlayStation Direct store. So that's PlayStation's online storefront, only that. You can't go to Target or Best Buy and buy it at a discount. You have to go to PlayStationDirect.com. And, I guess it says some participating retailers as part of their Days of Play campaign. So the big thing here is that you can buy a PlayStation 5 Pro for $50 off. So $650 for a PlayStation Pro, whereas an Xbox Series X is now going to cost what is it now? It's a fucking $580 or whatever. So we're less than $100 difference between a 2020 base Xbox Series X and a 2024 PlayStation 5 Pro. That's a bad look. Also, not only that, but they're going to use Xbox's biggest game against them, because a Call of Duty Black Ops 6 bundle, which comes with the PlayStation 5 console and a copy of the game, will be available both standard and digital versions of the PS5. Beginning at $400 US for the digital only version. So for $400, you can get a PlayStation 5 digital edition with a copy of Black Ops 6, which is a $70 game. That's, I mean, a really big savings when you compare that to, I don't know, an Xbox Series S for, what is it, 400? What is it? The Series X is now 520 or 500, and the Series S is 380. So 380 versus 400. 400 gets you a PlayStation 5 with Black Ops 6. That's a big old twist with the knife. The Xbox, that looks bad. Remember what I said? PlayStation has to raise their prices. They will do it, but are they going to take this petty route and use this opportunity to really trounce on Xbox, stomp on them while they're down the dumps, and make them look as bad as humanly possible? The signs are currently indicating that yes, they're going to do exactly that. I can't imagine this is anything less than just a quick opportunity to do that. And notice why they're only doing it for 2 weeks. It's because this is not something that is financially sustainable. It's a little marketing ploy they're going to do, and they're going to eat some shit on a couple 100,000 units or something just to make Xbox look like ass. And then later in the year, PlayStation will firmly raise the prices. But this is just, again, salt in the wound, a twist of the knife. Fuck you, Xbox. Go buy a PlayStation. I think that was a Brad Smith quote, wasn't it? Anyway, guys, let's move on, because thinking about this makes my heart hurt, because I used to be an Xbot. Now I'm retrieving back. See, I'm like a butterfly. When I was a child, I was a caterpillar, which means I was a Nintendo fan. I played Super Mario Brothers, and my mother would feed me baked Alaska from her arms, and I would eat it like a child. But then one day, shortly after I developed pimples, I wrapped myself in a cocoon, and in the months that followed, I blossomed like a butterfly, and I acquired an Xbox 360. And never looked back since. But in the months since Xbox have become little soft babies and started putting all their games on PlayStation, which makes me so angry, I've decided to wrap myself back into the cocoon in hopes that my butterfly self will regress into the caterpillar I once was. I already called up my mother and asked her to start making the baked Alaska, because this shit takes months to make, and I will firmly be sucking on the teat of my Nintendo Switch 2 in 1 week's time, because Xbox, you are disappointing me. No, that's not the truth, but what were we talking about? Oh yeah, Hellblade 2 is finally getting a fit. Can you tell I ran out of my medicine today that I need to go get my prescription filled? No. Hellblade 2 is finally getting a physical release alongside a PlayStation 5 port. Ninja Theory and Xbox's Senua's Saga Hellblade 2 is finally getting a physical release edition. When it first released on PlayStation and PC last year, Hellblade 2 was only available digital and cost about $50 US. Now, following Hellblade 2's PS5 announcement last weweek, ratings board at the ESRB has listed a new version of Senua's Saga for physical game release by Limited Game Run Games as publisher, with a PlayStation 5 and Series X. With PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series listed as the formats. There we go. A second ESRB listing suggests Limited Run is planning a physical version of the original Hellblade game as well for the Nintendo Switch. Limited Run Games is also known for its physical products, usually for smaller independent games sold in limited quantities. In 2022, the company was acquired by Embracer Group via its Free Mode subsidiary. Senua's Saga Hellblade 2 will be released on the PlayStation 5 this summer. The PlayStation 5 version of the game will include new features that will come to the PC and Xbox version at the same time via a new patch. Ninja Theory announced this all last week. Also announced right after the podcast last week. This one should come as no surprise. This game clearly didn't do very well on PC and Xbox, and so this is a great way to get as much mileage out of the game as you can. Plus, Hellblade kind of started its life as a PlayStation game, because I think when it first came out in 2017, it was on PlayStation only for a little bit, and then it came to Xbox One 6 months or a year later. So this was a PlayStation timed exclusive. Then Xbox bought Ninja Theory, then announced Hellblade 2 as like this big tech showpiece to announce and reveal the Xbox Series X, and are now just basically cucking out and putting the game on PlayStation anyway, which is to be expected. But hopefully this can help generate some more sales for this game that we don't know, but we know didn't do all that well because Xbox doesn't talk about numbers. But this is the least surprising so far of all the games that have been announced for PlayStation. Obviously, everything is coming, and we will talk about that immediately after this. But we still have to talk about all these announcements as they come because still it's just, Hellblade and Forza and Gears of War and Pentiment and Grounded and Hi-Fi Rush and Indiana Jones and just everything. It's all coming to PlayStation. There's no reason to buy an Xbox unless you are a Brad Sam fan. Speaking of Brad Sam Bradley. Is Starfield moving to PlayStation 5? Well, probably. According to Nate the Hate, the leaker who was heavily involved in the Oblivion remastered rumors, Microsoft will announce a Starfield PS5 port in the year 2025, this year that we're living in right now. The insider doesn't know whether the actual game will come out this year on PlayStation, just that the announcement should arrive before the end of the year. Nate went on to say that he, quote, expects the gap between the announcement and the release to be minimal, so if a port is revealed sometime this year, it's likely to be released with a follow. The release would follow shortly after. This lines up with other recent Xbox to PS5 ports, which have typically only had like a month or two worth of time between announcement to launch. So again, this surprises no one. This is a big one because even though Starfield is a new IP and a relatively recent game, there is something about Starfield where it was like supposed to be that next Gears of War, Halo style game for Xbox. It was such a big deal. They bought Bethesda, and Phil Spencer had that quote where he's like, make no mistake, this acquisition is about getting great first party exclusive content for the Xbox players. And then seeing that game then make its way to PlayStation is like just an ultimate capitulation, especially this close to the time in which that acquisition and announcement were made, which is only like 4 or 5 years ago. So it's just weird to see how much has changed in such a short period of time. That being said, is it surprising? No, not at all. And you know what else isn't surprising? EA has canceled another game and closed down another studio. Hey, that's like their specialty. Electronic Arts has canceled its Black Panther game and closed down the studio that was working on it. According to IGN's reporting, the publisher was shut down. The publisher has shut down Cliffhanger Games and is attempting to place affected staff in other roles across the company. The report says that EA will be laying off other staff on its mobile and central teams in a round of layoffs separate to those last month, which saw 300 to 400 staff laid off across EA, including 100 at Apex Legends studio Respawn Entertainment. The publication was forwarded an email sent to staff from EA Entertainment President Laurie Miele, which says that the cancellation of the Black Panther game was part of EA's effort to sharpen its focus and put creative energy behind the most significant growth opportunities, i.e. Star Wars Jedi, Battlefield, whatever Joseph Fares working on next. It's hard to act surprised. At first, I was like, wait. This is the Skydance, Amy Hennig, Captain America Black Panther game? They just delayed that. Now they're canceling it. And then I looked a little closer. I was like, oh, yeah. EA is making a Black Panther game. I completely forgot about that. I forgot that was even a thing. And then Xbox and not Obsidian. Xbox and Arcane are making a Blade game. So I think those are the 3 Marvel games we have in development. Oh, wait. Insomniac's working on the Wolverine game, right? Trying to think is there anything else I'm missing? I think those are like the 4 Marvel games like worth a like serious note that we know about. But yeah, this was canceled. So not surprising we never saw this game. I would like a Black Panther game. I feel like Black Panther's moveset is kind of a no-brainer for video games. But in terms of Black Panther as a character and the lore and the story and the background, Black Panther doesn't do it all that much for me. He's a little overhyped to me. Cool though, his suit is super fucking cool. But yeah, this is whatever, disappointing. Signs of an unhealthy games industry. More people losing their job, more games canceled, more time wasted, more opportunity costs down the fucking drain because greenlight a game, develop a game for 2 years, cancel the game, start from scratch, put people out of work. Where are we now? Think about all the games that didn't release because all that time and money wasted. It's just such a waste, and I can't help but feel like a lot of what's going on right now is publishers are seeing what a bad idea it is to get in bed, especially with Disney. Disney is the worst, and Disney is Star Wars and Marvel. about, these games that just cost so much money to make, take so long to make, take massive staffs to create and support. And then you got to give Disney a ransom fee to get to use fucking Indiana Jones or Nathan Drake's. Nope, not Nathan Drake. He's not a Disney character. Indiana Jones or Iron Man or whoever the fuck you want in your game. It just doesn't make business sense unless you're EA making the Star Wars Jedi games, because they really do have a boner for those games. Cronky writes in, says, I saw the Black Panther game got canceled. This industry is so confusing. It's more profitable than ever, yet it is seemingly collapsing. I think part of the issue is that the industry is becoming too visible with investors and crap. It's the tragic part of Xbox buying Activision. I liked them flying under the radar at Microsoft. Yeah, and that is another thing worth mentioning, is that games are just taken more seriously now, especially from a financial standpoint. I think parent companies and investors and stuff definitely have a closer eye on this stuff. And they're like, oh, I don't understand video games, but I heard they make lots of money. And it's got more eyes on it from that point of view. But I mean, the big thing is we know what it is. Licensing fees are crazy. Games are expensive to make. Consumers bitch when you try to charge $70, $80 for a video game. So it's like, something's got to give. We can't have the $100 million license from Disney to do a Star Wars or Marvel game paired with the $300 to $600 million budget it takes to make a fucking modern video game, and the 6 years at least it takes to create the game, and then not be able to sell it for $80, $90 because the consumer is going to have a fucking field day if that game isn't $13 and on Game Pass tomorrow. So it's like, you can't win, man. You got these three things. All of it is untenable. Something's got to give. So maybe stick to original games to avoid the licensing fee. Maybe stick to smaller games to avoid $400 million budgets and 7-8 year bloated development times. And then maybe stick to your fucking guns and charge whatever price you think is fair for the game you're making. But until we can kind of comfortably balance these things, it just doesn't make sense to have these over-the-top, outrageously expensive licensed games because there's just no money in it. The famous thing that we talk about now, that people talk about now, is Spider-Man 2. It made all this fucking money and didn't break a profit because of everything Sony had to pay to get that license. It's just like, how does the sequel to a game that came out a few years before it cost so much money to make after just being kind of like a revision of a game that came out 4 or 5 years before? It's just insane. So that's my 2 cents on that. And honestly, we might as well just jump to this next one. This story after the next one, because it kind of ties in nicely, which is that a former Star Wars Battlefront 2 developer has said that they would like to get the band back together and make a third entry in the franchise. Star Wars Battlefront 2 recently enjoyed a resurgence in popularity due to games Reddit and TikTok communities encouraging lapsed fans to return to the game. Apparently, it did really well on Steam during that time, whatever. But EA released the game all the way back in 2017, which is surprisingly a long time ago, but eventually ended support for the game in 2020 when the PC version came out. Now, following its renewed popularity, a former developer of the game has said that several other former developers would love to work on a third entry. In a response on Reddit, commenting by developers Matt Helgingholm, who worked on both the base release and the Celebration re-release, claimed that many ex-Battlefront developers would like the opportunity to work on a new game. When asked by a fan which developers have said that they'd like to go back to EA and work on a third entry, Holmes said, me, and having heard around my group of ex-colleagues, we want to get the band back together, the gang back together, as he said. He doesn't want to start a band, he wants to start a gang, he wants violence. But anyway, same thing, same publisher, EA, right? I think EA looked at the writing on the wall and said, listen, the backlash from all the loot boxes and stuff back in the day, plus the expensive licensing fee to have Star Wars, plus the fact that when we make Star Wars Battlefront 2, we're basically taking dice off of Battlefield, which is a similar game that we own the IP for and don't have the license. Why are we doing this? Let's stop fucking doing this. We can make a Star Wars game for much cheaper if we make something like Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order instead of Battlefront. And I think it just is as simple as that. And they don't want to have 2, 3, 4 Star Wars projects going at a time. They're only willing to spend the money to do that on one, and that was the franchise that got picked because Battlefield sells really, really well. So just have DICE continue to work on that. And then Respawn's Titanfall games failed to reach mass mass acclaim across consumers. So just let them do the Star Wars games because those are received pretty well commercially. So I think that's kind of how that decision got made. Unfortunately, even though I personally don't love it and don't agree with it, I just think that's how that decision got made. It's not to say Battlefront 2 is a bad game. I know a lot of people who stuck it out, really, really love that game and thought they did a great job turning it around. That's excellent to hear. I liked Battlefront 2 just fine. I played it at launch. Thought it was totally fine. I thought the campaign started out really strong and then devolved into kind of bullshit, but the game itself was pretty fun. It was fine. It's just one of those things, man. It's like, yeah, who doesn't want Star Wars Battlefront 3, I guess, right? But it's kind of too little too late now. It's like the love for Star Wars has died down so much. When you think about Battlefront 1 coming out in 2015, people were so fucking hyped for Star Wars. I don't know. Star Wars fans do tend to turn out whenever there's new Star Wars shit, but like, you just can't capture the hype and excitement and audience with a Battlefront 3 that you were able to capture in 2015 with Battlefront 1. And I think they probably experienced a little bit of that with Battlefront 2, and just more so leading into the decision to not proceed with a third entry. All right, this is some exciting news. Let's talk about something positive. So from Pure Xbox, as part of this past week's Warhammer Skull Showcase, the team has announced the first 40K Space Marine title is getting a new game remaster. Warhammer 40K Space Marine Master Crafted Edition is in the works by Sneaky Box, and it comes to Xbox Game Pass on day one. Better yet, Space Marines Master Crafted Edition is just a few weeks away, dropping on June 10th for Xbox Series S and X. This remaster of the original Xbox 360 title will include the following per the game's description. Updated for new generation by Sneaky Box with 4K resolution, modernized controls, and an interface overhaul. Improved character models and remastered audio, the Mastercraft Edition brings the fight, the gore, and the glory closer, louder, and with greater impact than ever before. Experience this landmark third-person shooter set within the grim darkness and ceaseless conflict of Warhammer 40K universe like never before. This is fucking awesome because I wanted to play Space Marine 2 last year, but I thought it was on Game Pass, but it wasn't, and then I ended up not buying it, and then I was like, I kind of want to play the first one first, so this is a perfect excuse to get into it by playing this through Game Pass day one, and then they'll probably have a sale for Space Marine 2 around the same time, just to be like, hey, you like that remaster of the first game? If you haven't played the second one, here's a nice sale to get you into that one too, so that would be a smooth way to kind of get some more good content going this summer for Xbox players, as Doom is now out, and we're starting to slow down on the heavy first half of 2025 Xbox release schedule, because after Doom, what's next? It's Tony Hawk. So this is a nice little addition to keep Game Pass going, keep it enticing. Definitely something I want to check out. Bad timing, 5 days after Nintendo Switch 2. Don't you know I'll be balls deep in Mario Kart World, you fucking crazy boys? But no, I think that's awesome. It's really exciting, and I definitely want to give that a go, because Space Marine 2 is one of those shortlist games that's like, ooh, that's on my backlog, but I definitely don't want to wait too long before I get to it. So this will be really nice because I never played the first entry either, and I would like to play both of them, so that's cool. All right, guys, let's round out the news with our final little wrap-up story. Hopefully some good news here, right? BioShock. They said that BioShock was coming back. They announced a new BioShock in 2019. Was it Cloud Chamber was the new team they put together at 2K to make a new BioShock game, and it's been like whisper quiet since. So from Pure Xbox, here's an update. Rumors have been swirling about this BioShock game for a while now, and a fresh report this week comes from an announcement that the franchise is coming, that a new franchise announcement is imminent. So maybe Summer Game Fest. According to MP1 or MP First publisher 2K, 2K is prepping an announcement related to BioShock and will announce fairly soon, most likely before the end of summer. It said that the announcement could be for a new game in the series or potentially something related to the franchise's Netflix project, hopefully not the latter. At this point, quote, we don't know what the announcement will be about. It could be the reveal of initial details about the projects announced several years ago, such as BioShock 4, the upcoming Netflix movie. Some other information we've come across seems to suggest another possibility, a remake of a proper remaster of the original BioShock. That would be disappointing as well because we just got that remaster collection last generation. We don't need to keep getting BioShock 1 again and again and again. Come on, this isn't Halo Combat Evolved. Speaking of the last point that touches on a potential BioShock remake. The report also adds that the City Rapture will play a significant role in the upcoming announcement, and that the information gathered by the source contains clear reference to the original 2007 BioShock. So it sounds like a from the ground up BioShock remake is in order, which is kind of disappointing because I don't think that game really needs it. But man, that's sad, because a few years after BioShock 4 was announced and Cloud Chamber was formed, Colin Moriarty, or as my girlfriend would refer to him as my boyfriend, because I listen to his podcast all the time, he reported maybe 4 years ago at this point, 5 years ago, that new BioShock game took place in a new environment that was like an Arctic kind of setting. So like Rapture or Columbia, but in an Arctic setting. And we just never heard anything about that game. So I don't know if it got canceled, rebooted, what the deal is, but it would be really exciting or cool to see something about this game finally, for love of God. Netflix information I don't give a shit about. BioShock remake just seems unnecessary. Those games are very accessible and hold up very well on modern consoles, so that just seems like a waste of time. But BioShock remake, why not? So anyway, fingers crossed, hoping for the best, but there's your BioShock update after years and years of nothing. Guys, that's it for all the news this week. That's really it. Please stop complaining about the news. I don't make the news. I just report it for you and your listening ears. Let me take a quick water break, and then we'll come back with the games I've been playing, food I've been eating, comments. We'll close out the podcast, guys. We'll come right back, okay? All right, and we're back. Talking about the games I've been playing this week. Spoiler alert, Doom the Dark Ages. But before we can talk about Doom, which I'm excited to get into because I'm really liking that game, first I got to tell you about what it is I've been eating. These actually kind of go in tandem because I was doing them together. I was dooming while I was grilling. But yeah, let's talk about it, guys. So I finally pulled the trigger. I think I mentioned it last week. I got a Weber kettle grill. So that's like full-blown suburban, right? I got all I'm missing is like the dog and the kid, right? But got the cookie cutter house, the homes with not enough space between them, neighbors pissing me off, don't like the way they take care of their lawn, all the things that aren't my business that bother me, and now I got the fucking Weber kettle grill. Why? In the backyard, so it's all good. It's happening. I'm living the American dream. It's official. I'm driving my pickup truck, getting mad at cops for speed gating back roads and all the rest. So anyway, so I got the kettle grill, and was really excited for specifically the smoking feature. Yeah, it's like you get a grill, right? Most people are like, oh, let's do hot dogs, let's do hamburgers. And don't get me wrong, I'm excited to grill up some steaks or burgers on this grill at some point soon. But what really had me was the idea of using it for like barbecue and for like smoking. So I learned about the classic old snake method, which is when you take the charcoal and you do like a ring around the charcoal grill, so that you just light one end of it, and then slowly for depending on how much charcoal, how big of a ring you make, you can have that thing slow burn for like 8 to 10 hours or whatever. And I got a cheap piece of pork shoulder from the grocery store for $11. And this past weekend I attempted some barbecue pulled pork, and it was a lot of fun, actually. So got up real early on Monday because it was Memorial Day, and to celebrate the holiday I got up real early, got my fucking pork shoulder, lathered it in some fucking ketchup as a binder, got all my brown sugar, salt, pepper, paprika, garlic, everything, just lathered that motherfucker, and all the seasonings in the pantry, and then set up the grill. Was very worried about getting the fire just right, lighting the coals properly, so I did invest in a coal chimney because that's what most people seem to recommend, and great investment. Great little $20 accessory that I highly recommend for grilling, as it made it super easy to get those first couple coals lit and burning hot. And then I started my snake, dude. It was awesome. Started my snake. I put my slab of meat on the grill, and dude, the hard thing was I was like, okay, starting the fire is going to be hard, and then maintaining the temperature is going to be hard. Nope. I don't know. Like everyone says, if you're going to start smoking, start with like pulled pork because it's one of the easier ones to do. This was a good idea. This worked out well. Trying to keep the temperature around 275 Fahrenheit. Pretty easy to do. Didn't really have to adjust the temperature all that much. At one point around the 3 or 4 hour mark, the temperature did get up close to 350, and I had to catch that shit and lower it back down. But that was pretty easy to do. So got the temperature under control pretty easily for the most part, and it took about 8.5 hours to smoke this bad boy. But by dinner time, my girlfriend made some mac and cheese and some banana pudding, and then we grilled up some veggies. It was very nice. We had a nice barbecue dinner, and here's my takeaway from my first time grilling. I think after 8.5 hours of grilling, I was so tired of smelling smoky charcoal that by the time I dug into this pork, I was disgusted by the smoky flavor of it. But I think I did okay. I think the only mistake I truly made, because the bark on the pork was great. The tenderness was excellent. It was juicy. Towards the end of the cook, the last couple hours, I wrapped the pork in aluminum foil. I threw a bunch of pads of butter and some additional brown sugar on it, so to have an extra like sweet, buttery fattiness kind of caked into the meat towards the end, because it wasn't a terribly fatty cut. And that proved to be a good idea, because I think in terms of like the temperature, I got a perfect like 202 degrees Fahrenheit internal on the meat. In terms of all that, it was cooked perfectly. The thing I think I fucked up was some of my tinder, some of the paper towels that I burned to get the charcoals initially hot and running. I think some of the ash got into the drip pan that I put underneath the pork. And so I think there was a little bit of ash that was like smoking into the pork meat from the initial paper towels that I burnt with. And so while it did have a smoky charcoal flavor, it also had a little bit of like an ashy, newspapery, smoky thing going on, which was like, not my thing. It only affected the bark on the outside. My girlfriend swears that I'm making that up and that it actually tasted just fine and I'm overreacting. But I feel like the flavor wasn't 100% where I wanted it to be. I didn't have any hickory wood or anything to add to the charcoal grill, which I wish I did have to add a different kind of more complex smoky flavor. But I feel like for my very first time really manning a charcoal grill by myself, just reading Reddit, watching YouTube videos, and kind of winging it a little bit, I feel like I did a pretty good job. This was a 5-pound cut of pork shoulder that we now have like 3 pounds of leftovers in the fridge. I need to actually go bundle it up and freeze it now. That's been 2 days, but it was a lot of fun. It was actually a lot of fun. I spent my entire money. The nice thing about it is it's like you're just kind of bound to the grill. So like I got a small Florida home, so there's not much like you can't ever get too far away from anything in the house. So what I did was, I had the grill on my patio and I just left all the windows open downstairs. So I'm in my living room playing Xbox while it's smoking all day. I have all the windows open so that from where I'm sitting on the couch, I can see perfectly through the window at the grill and just look at it to make sure I still got that white smoke going, that clean smoke going. So the grill is on and everything's good. And then also make sure that I'm not starting a fire. So I just sat there on the couch all day playing Xbox every 30 to 45 minutes, going outside, spritzing it with a little apple cider vinegar, making sure the flames are still good, making sure everything looks good. And I had my fire extinguisher right next to the door leading to the patio just in case I fuck something up. And mission accomplished. It all turned out pretty fucking well. Really happy with how it went overall. But it was just fun. The pork is, here's the thing is, I'm not a crazy pork person. In fact, when I go to a barbecue restaurant, pulled pork is like the one thing that I will put barbecue sauce on, because I think pulled pork is kind of boring. Like when I go to a barbecue restaurant, I'm there for ribs, I'm there for brisket, I'm there for smoked wings, I'm there for pretty much anything but pulled pork. I'm there for the sides and the banana pudding and the cobbler before I'm there for the pulled pork. Like to me, it's like ideal barbecue platter. You got cornbread, you got brisket, you got ribs, you got chicken wings, you got mac and cheese for sure, and then either like a coleslaw or like a collard greens. Some people go baked beans. I'm not a crazy baked beans guy. You gotta get some iced tea with that, and then for dessert, ideally a banana pudding, but if you're feeling spicy, maybe like a peach or a blueberry cobbler with some vanilla ice cream. To me, like that is like the ultimate barbecue meal. My girlfriend would go for the Texas toast, but I'm more of a cornbread kind of guy, although they're both excellent. But yeah, it was it turned out well. We got some Hawaiian sweet rolls, some pulled pork. I thought I had Sweet Baby Ray's in the fridge. I did not, so I had to kind of make up my own barbecue sauce, which turned out okay. She made some great mac and cheese, got some broccoli and shit just to have a veggie in there. But it turned out pretty okay overall. It was nice. Nice little Memorial Day. Spent the whole day smoking / playing Xbox, and then the pork was done just in time to watch the Tampa Bay Rays defeat the Minnesota Twins. Fuck you. fuck you, not Tampa Bay. Glad you lost. So it was a good day. That's it for what I've been eating. And dude, I'm just excited for like what I'm gonna do next. I'm thinking about just getting like cheap cuts of different beef roasts and just start smoking them, because brisket is fatty, unhealthy, and expensive. So I'm like, I'll just figure out other beef-related items to smoke. But then I also want to try out grilling, more directly. I'm like, okay, let's do some fucking high-temperature steaks. Let's do some burgers. I'm just excited. I told my girlfriend, I was like, let's just, like, at least once a week for the next, like, month, let's just grill every Saturday or Sunday just to get some usage out of this thing, because I got the charcoal, I got the grill, I'm excited about it, it's fun, I'm new to it. Yeah, I want to hone my skills. Definitely want to do some smoked dry rub chicken wings very soon as well. But yeah, I'm a newly minted griller. I got my Suburban cookie cutter home, got my pickup truck, got my grill. Tell me I'm not American, I'll fucking shoot you with my imaginary gun I don't have, but I'm almost there. I'm like 98% American at this point. It's awesome. But that's it for what I've been eating, smoking, grilling, activitying. Let's now talk about what it is I've been playing, which is Doom the Dark Ages. Now, I was going to wrap up Oblivion, then move into Doom the Dark Ages, but we're kind of getting to that place where it's like, I'm trying to clean my plate before next week when Switch 2 comes out, because I know when Switch 2 comes out, I'm going to fall off the face of the earth with my Xbox for a couple weeks. So I'm like, the thing about Oblivion is I'm really enjoying it, but you can kind of take that game slow and come back whenever you want, and it will still be kind of the same experience. Doom is like a quick and easy experience that I could just like knock out in a weekend or two, and I'm really excited to play it. So like, let's just jump into it. So I put Oblivion on ice. I jumped into Doom the Dark Ages, and I'm about halfway through it. There's 22 missions in the game. I'm on mission 12 right now. So I'm halfway through the game, and I gotta say, I really like this game, to where I'll just come out and say it from the top. Of the new Doom trilogy, Doom 2016, Doom Eternal, and now Doom the Dark Ages, I will say that for my money, in my taste, and my experience personally, I think the Dark Ages is the best of these three. It is definitely the one that resonates with me the most. And I guess that's kind of a hot take, because it seems like the sentiment for most people is that the first two are better, that either you're an Eternal player or you're a 2016 player. But the Dark Ages is a great new game, but definitely not as good as those first two, depending on where you land. It seems like that is kind of the general consensus. My thing with the new Doom series is, like, I thought Doom 2016 was awesome. I enjoyed it thoroughly. I felt like it could have been a little shorter, and I would have been fine with it, because towards the end I was like, okay, I kind of get it, And then Doom Eternal, I really loved the idea of that game on paper, the double jump, the grappling hook, the more crazy nature of it all, the kind of dance of like just cycling through your weapons all the time. But that game actually didn't do it for me nearly as much. In fact, I never beat Doom the Dark Ages. I got about, 3/4 of the way through that game, and then I put it down and just never came back to it. But I did not like the backtracking, kind of more open-ended, like, hub design between levels. I did not like the whole, like, use every gun in your arsenal in order to get more health, like kill enemies to get health and then shoot this and that. I didn't enjoy the flow and the song and the dance or the way combat worked in that game. It just didn't do it for me. And the verticality of like the double jump, and you're shooting in more directions, and there's enemies above you and enemies below you and all that. On paper, I was like, this is the most badass game ever. But in reality, I felt like it was just a little too much, to where, a couple levels of it, I was like, this is badass. But a whole game of it, I was like, I don't think I like this quite as much as Doom 2016. And then the Dark Ages to me is like the perfect game, because it still does feel very fast, very action-packed. Obviously, it's an action game. It feels just as crazy and frenetic as the other games, but it is also a little slower in the sense that it is more focused on, like, pick a gun you want, pick a combat style you want, or focus, whether it's melee or range weapons or close range weapons or whatever, and kind of stick to your combo and your way of fighting. And I just love this fucking chainsaw shield and these crazy weapons and these melee combos, and then the tank suit and all this other. I love it. I feel like they focus, they say stay and fight. It's what was it? It's like running gun, jumping, whatever, and stay and fight, trying to kind of describe each of these three Doom games. I don't feel like it's really like stay and fight or stand and fight. I feel like it is move around still, but like it's just different. There's this parrying mechanic, which is comically easy, where it's like whenever like green shards of energy come, you can use the parry mechanic to deflect attacks, and use it against enemies to break their shields, and then like blast them in the face with shotguns. I really love there's two guns I love. I already forgot all their names, but the one gun is it's the double barrel energy blaster gun. I love that gun. I think it's the pulverizer or the vortex, something. I don't remember what it's called, but that's my favorite weapon. And then my other favorite weapon is the one that everyone was talking about after the trailer came out originally, which is like it's like that like shotgun spread, but it's like a machine gun, and it shoots shards of like skull pieces. Like the gun, like you load a human skull into the gun, and then like as you fire it, the skull feeds into the gun and just gets like ripped into shreds, little shards that like have like a spray blast that like just pepper enemies with all these shards of sharp shards of skull. It's just so fucking badass. And then the rocket launcher is awesome, the shield is awesome, and then you get a fucking, what is it called? A flail. There's a little stick with like the wrecking ball thing tied to the end, the spiky ball tied to the end of the chain. I love using that thing. It's just the song and dance of like throw your shield at someone, and the shield starts like chainsawing into an enemy, and while it's chainsawing into an enemy, you just fucking melee whack them with your flail, and you bounce back and finish them off with a heavy blow from a shotgun to their face, and they explode. And I know a lot of people are complaining about, it doesn't have finishing moves. The finishing moves aren't as intense as the other games. I just feel like the flow and the feel of it is just, it's so good. I'm very satisfied with the combat, to the point where halfway through it, I'm like, wow, there's only, I'm 11 levels in, and there's 11 levels left to play. Fuck yeah, I'm ready for all 11 of these levels. They're so fun. I love that the game is very linear. I feel like there's a lot less, there's a little exploring, a little off the beaten path exploring, but it's not, you're not going to get lost or be like, where am I, or where was I, or how did I get here in this game at all. It is very linear. It is very straight and forward, which I really appreciate and prefer. It's very much like you completed that level, now click on the next mission, like that kind of style. And then on top of that, it is then accentuated with cutscenes and story content. So the first game was very much like, if you want story, pick up data logs and collectibles throughout the environment. Otherwise, there's no story here. Doom Eternal was like, there's a lot of story and these open hub areas, and you can explore and you can collect and you can do this. I'm like, this is too much. This is far removed from what I want Doom to be. I feel like this game is the perfect balance, where it's like, it's linear, it's straightforward, it's level based, but it also has cutscenes and story for those who want it. And I like a good cutscene just to kind of give me some visual flair in between levels. But as far as what's happening in the story, I will say, I don't know. I don't care. This is nonsense. I cannot follow it. I don't care about it. It's not very good, but I enjoy the cutscenes. I enjoy the effort put into it, and it just makes the game feel more epic, jumping between levels, knowing that there's gonna be a cutscene where a good guy does this or a bad guy does that, or a thing explodes, and it kind of gets you hyped or excites you for the next level. It's very much like stupid babies seeing flashing light or toy make sound and be like, ooh, I want that. So this game kind of does that for me. Story is not good whatsoever. It's not interesting whatsoever, but it is so much fun, the game overall. So I'm really enjoying this like half medieval setting, but it's also like cyborg spacey, because you got like these guys with like all these suits and weapons and iPads and tablets and shit. But you're also in like this medieval looking foreign alien planet setting. And then what I really love about this game are the breakup levels, like these levels to break up the action, where one style is like the Titanfall level, where you jump into the mech and it's very combat focused, like hand to hand. And those levels are so badass. It feels like Titanfall. It's so cool. It's so fun. They're short, they're sweet, and I have a blast with those levels. And then the other style of mix it up kind of level is those dragon levels, when you get on the cyborg mech dragon with a gun and you go flying around the level and blasting enemies and stuff. Those levels are not as exciting as I thought they would be. They're kind of a little redundant, mundane, and boring, but they're also kind of, I don't know, like the mechanics are cool, it just gets old fast. I don't love those ones as much, but I love the mech levels so much, and I just love the moment-to-moment combat. I think Doom the Dark Ages is a total blast. I think for Game Pass, it's a fucking steal. Like, if you're a Game Pass subscriber, play Doom the Dark Ages. It is one of the best values for your subscription dollars. But as far as buying the game brand new for $70 if you're on PlayStation or you don't have Game Pass or whatever, you could wait for a sale. You know, it's like this is the kind of game you're going to play for 10, 12 hours and then never touch it again, probably, for most people. You could wait for the game to go on sale. It will go on sale. It's a Bethesda game, Bethesda published game. It developed, of course. So this game will probably be $30-$40 by Christmas time. So you can save yourself some money and do it that way. But if you're a Game Pass subscriber, this is the perfect Game Pass game. It's such a great little accentuation to an otherwise phenomenal 3-4 month string of Game Pass releases. And I cannot recommend Doom: The Dark Ages enough. I just personally think it's phenomenal. Cronky was trying to get me to play it on PC, so naturally I am playing it on my Xbox Series X because I'm not a nerd. I do have a very large penis, so I do not play games on my Xbox, or my PC rather. But Cronky did write in and he says, as a huge fan of the Doom games, I had to say the newer ones are PC only games for me. I've played them on console and they are a night and day difference. The PC is just fast and frantic. On console, they are slow and tanky. Honestly, I don't understand why anyone wants to play those games on console. I generally prefer console gaming. I just think these games translate very poorly. Cronky, to each their own. The thing is, I've never played these games on PC, so I don't know what I'm missing. You can think of it from that perspective. The thing is, I don't doubt that you're right. You're probably very, very right. But I'm not going to play these games on PC. If I don't have to, if I can play them on Xbox, why would I not play them on Xbox? So that is where I am with it. But I'm glad you're liking it there. Corny Puddle says, I'm excited for Doom. I'm cheap, so I'm waiting for a sale, but I'm grabbing it that day. Dude, Corny Puddle. I was telling my coworker, he was like, I want to play Doom: The Dark Ages, but I'd rather play my PS5. I hate Xbox. I don't like playing my Xbox. I'm like, bro, $20, 1 month of Game Pass. Enjoy the fuck out of Doom for 10 to 15 hours, and then don't renew your subscription. It's $20. You can play it right now for $20. Why wait for the game to go on sale when you can just subscribe for 1 month, play it for $20, and then dabble with some other games while you're there? I just don't see why not, really. Corny Puddle, please play it sooner. If you want to buy the physical version, I understand maybe you're a physical collector. Totally get it, totally respect it. Yeah, this is a great game to wait for it to be $30-$40, because at $30-$40, you'll play a game like Doom: The Dark Ages and be like, wow, that game was phenomenal. At $70, you'll be like, that game was really good. I'm done, but for Game Pass, oh man, Game Pass, it's just such a great get. So really highly recommend this game. Really enjoying it so very much, and I hope you guys are too. So let me know what you think about Doom: The Dark Ages. Those are my thoughts halfway through the game, and that's it for what I've been playing, you guys. This is going to bring us to the end, the final, the best, the only comment section that I comment on when I'm commenting. And so let's wrap it up here, guys. We got 4 of you wrote in, separate from all the comments we've read throughout the podcast. And I didn't really read through these beforehand, so I don't know where we're going with it. But Sam Frito is going to kick us off with his big booty and his large Bentley that he drives, where he carries around his many Xboxes in the back seat because he has so many Xboxes to care for. And he says, Jesse, I'm going to devote this week's podcast to grilling, this comment to grilling. Well wishes to being a homeowner in Central Florida. Enjoy your weekend. Thanks for being the host of the show and for all your incredible deliveries. A toast for all of us. And Space Marine is coming. I never played it. And Sega is publishing Xbox Boner Activate. Yeah, man, I'm excited for it as well, man. So cheers to that. Hopefully you're grilling this summer in Central Florida. I'm not looking for the inevitable day when I'm looking forward to grilling and then it's a rainy day and I can't grill. Because the other day when I was grilling, I didn't think about the rain at all. And about an hour after I was grilling, it started pouring rain. I was like, wow, imagine if I was grilling and then I got caught in the rain. That would fucking suck. So shout out to Florida and rain and grilling and food. And shout out to Sam Frito, because if you were really a Frito, I would stick you in a burrito and I'd wrap you up and eat you like a little crunchy treat. But speaking of crunchy treats, Happy Mario writes in and says, hi, Jesse. I was late to comment on the last episode, so I'm getting in on early on this one. Oh man, I had a blast with Wolfenstein The New Order, and I played it on the PS4. We talked about that last week. Doom: The Dark Ages, what a blast. Also, have you tried Xbox Retro? Lots of Activision games on there from the 80s, and I'm loving it. Game Pass just keeps giving. Just 2 weeks of these until the Switch 2 comes out. And can we share our photos of us with the new Switch? Also, what's the fuss with the stream coming with Steam coming to Xbox? Thanks, Jesse, for the podcast. I'm off for English tea and scones in the garden. Have a great week. Cheers. Dude, I would love some English scones. I am a jealous bastard now. Happy Mario. Yeah, Wolfenstein rocks. I'm glad you're liking Doom: The Dark Ages. I don't care for the retro arcade games on Xbox, but I'm glad it's something for you. I'm glad there's an audience. I'm glad there are consumers who are getting value out of it. But to get into some of these later points here, yes, we can share our photos when we get our Switch 2. I would love an Xbox On community play day where we all use the new chat feature and we get our little glitchy cameras going on and we play some Mario Kart and we see our little faces and we chat and we say ugly, mean things about each other's families to each other while we're playing on Nintendo's online infrastructure. I would very much enjoy that. Happy Mario. So you want to facilitate something like that? Let's get something like that going. That'd be fun. But what's the fuss about Steam coming to Xbox? Well, as much as it is a cool idea for Steam to come to Xbox from the standpoint of just making the platform a better place for players, more value, more features, more things to do, and more games to access, it is a bad financial idea because Xbox makes their money by selling games on the Xbox Marketplace. And if you put the Steam Marketplace on the Xbox, there's no incentive for people to buy Xbox games on Xbox's Marketplace because they can just access Steam on their Xbox. And that makes Xbox a zero profit endeavor for Microsoft, therefore giving them 100% the go ahead and pull the plug on Xbox consoles altogether. I think that is the hullabaloo about Steam coming to Xbox. That is why I'm nervous about the idea. I don't see how it makes business sense in any way whatsoever, but I would love to be proven wrong, and I would love for this to make sense some way, because the idea of having Steam on my Xbox is fucking badass, and I want it. I just want there to be a way to back it up and justify its existence. But hey, I'm open to anything because I'm dumb and I don't know things. And there's always a better idea than whatever idea I have. So hit me with it. Let me see how we can make this work. Cheers. Enjoy your scones. And if you're in that garden, make sure you put on some sunscreen because if you are an Englishman, we know you burn like a lobster. I know because that's the only English I have in me is the part that gets sunburned the second I see daylight. BP Fatio Fascio is how I'm going to choose to say it. Says, just got the G Cloud as an anniversary gift from my job. Great handheld. Who knew Doc Brown invented the Stardust Racers? Love the pod. What a dude. I don't even know why I know that reference, the flux capacitor that is on the ride vehicles for Stardust Racers at Epic Universe at Universal. I don't know why I know that, and I don't know what prompted you to even make that little anecdote, that little note, that little comment there. But the reference was not lost. I'm cool enough to know that. But dude, you got the G Cloud, you like the Logitech G Cloud, like the one I'm always talking about, bro. I hope you're fucking loving that thing. It's so good. It's so good, man, because like I'm so into my Switch right now and I'm enjoying my Switch. And then every time I pick up my Logitech G Cloud, I'm like, fuck, I forgot how much better this feels than the Switch. It's so nice, dude. It's such a beautiful piece of kit. It's light, great battery life. The streaming quality is great. It just feels so good. I love that thing. So I'm glad you got one. I'm glad you're loving it. Bro, let me know what you're playing on it. And our wrap-up comment for the week comes from Cargo Runner UK, who says, great show. I think that the Xbox releases were stacked at the start of 2025 to avoid clashing with GTA 6, which had a vague 2025 release window with rumors saying late 2025. I actually hope they slow down on the real bangers so I can catch up. This is in response to me asking you guys why you thought this was the case about Xbox front-loading the year. You said, I don't think Xbox have a fixed future strategy now. They are just trying something to see what profits are like. Back in 2023, Phil promised Xbox exclusives, but Xbox console sales just went down and game sales went down too. So they had to pivot to go multi-platform. The next experiment will be Xbox is an Xbox that's more open platform. No one can guess what effect will be. I bet Xbox will have 3 plans ready. Plan number one plan for the Xbox Store and one plan for it is Xbox Store and Game Pass makes bigger profits. 2, drastic pivot plan if no one buys the next Xbox as every game is on PlayStation. And 3, drastic pivot is a plan in which if people buy into the next Xbox, but everyone suddenly switches to Steam Store. Well, the thing is, Game Pass doesn't make profits. More people are switching to PlayStation no matter what Xbox does right, and putting the Steam Store on Xbox just incentivizes people to give their money to Steam and not to Xbox. So the problem is I don't see how these are plans. These seem like inevitable obstacles to overcome based on the situation Xbox has put themselves in and are rumored to be putting themselves further in. So I don't know. You said, I'm really looking forward to seeing how the market reacts to the next Xbox hardware. I am too. I just really want to see how Xbox plans to try and make a profitable ecosystem as they continue to take the things that make Xbox profitable and cannibalize it, on the Xbox platform itself. Of course, Xbox can be very profitable from just being a third-party publisher and putting their games on PlayStation and selling them a la carte, which seems to be the only thing they're doing that might draw any profit for them. But I am forever optimistic about what Xbox is doing next, but also incredibly weary of the future of this brand as a hardware manufacturer goes. But as long as there's an Xbox console to purchase and to play, I will be there playing on that console, in addition to my Switch 2, because Switch 2 is where I'm going to play Mario Kart and Metroid Prime 4. I'm excited, dude. We're 1 week away, brother. I'm very, very excited. But you guys, that's going to do it for Xbox On this week. Thank you so much for being here, for listening. I appreciate your feedback, your reviews on podcast services. No more licensed music because you filthy Spotify listeners forced my hand. Now I got to get unlicensed music. Maybe one day I'll write an Xbox On song. Maybe we can collab, me and one of the listeners, and we'll write an Xbox On song together. But until next week, I'm just going to be a lazy motherfucker. Put this thing up and go to bed because I'm tired as hell. So I hope you have a great rest of your week. Grill some meat, smoke some meat. What is the old saying? You can grill your meat, you can smoke your meat, but you can't grill your friend's smoked meat. So until next week, power your dreams.